Hello and welcome to the latest Capital and Kayfabe. I am your co-host, JP John Paz from the Two Man Power Trip. Of course, joining me is the former political pundit, the author, the journalist, the campaign manager, Mr. Jack Hunter. Jack, welcome in. How you doing?
Good to be with you. Excited to talk about some wrestling and more.
Man, there's so much craziness going on in the world, but I do want to start off with wrestling and maybe even a topic that you wouldn't expect to start out with. But I wanted to talk about Wrestle Kingdom New Japan just off the top, just because it sold out 50,000 tickets. The TV rating would have been equivalent to about a 10 if you put it on, because it was like 3.5 million, but it was only a certain amount of homes. So it was like basically a huge thing with Hiroshi Tanahashi retiring. But I just wanted to get your take. Like, what did you think of the show? Because I know you watch it. I'm going to be watching it very, very soon because I'm going to buy New Japan World and watch it just for that show. And like, what did you think about it? Because it seemed like it was excellent.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I particularly wanted to watch it just like everybody else because it was Tanahashi's retirement match against Okada. It doesn't get any better than that. And they had a fantastic match. Tanahashi, tell me if you disagree, in the last year or two, he's done some wrestling, but it wasn't up to par of where he used to be. Is that a fair thing to say?
Yeah. Yep.
It doesn't absolutely suck or anything, but you just kind of hate to see it given his stature, the John Cena of Japan.
Yep.
And whatnot. But I thought they had a great send-off match. I kind of got a chuckle after the match was over, how long that send-off lasted. You'll see when you watch it.
Yes.
All his opponents come to the ring, Omega, Jay White, all these
Osprey.
people. Osprey.
Naito. Yeah.
Naito, who was, one of the last ones to come out. Shibata brought Tanahashi to tears. He really started crying. But they did that, and then he got on that, what is it, Ace Mobile or whatever, and went around the arena waving at everybody. I think and that took forever. It was funny. This is like, all right, you're gonna do a send off. This is a send off.
I wanted to say that. Like, don't you think that's the send off? Like, Cena could have got it, like that kind of thing.
Yeah, I guess so. Different strokes for different folks. Cena shared a picture of Tanahashi after his retirement, which is super cool and not surprising. Takeshita's match, what was that guy? That was really good.
Yota Tsuji, he's great.
Yeah, that was really good. And this Jake Lee guy, who I wasn't as familiar with, that everybody was glad to see back. You probably are very familiar with him.
Yep, was in All Japan, yeah.
Okay, I'm thinking of Jake E. Lee from Ozzy Osbourne's band in the 80s, like that replaced Randy Rhoads. Obviously not the same person. This guy is Japanese. He's tall. Mm-hmm. He's got a different look. I like what a smug jerk he seemed to be. Like, I just, something about him, I immediately took to him. I'm like, this is my guy. I like this dude. He's a total heel.
Yes.
So yeah, that stood out. I'm trying to think of other stuff. The shows are so long. Zack Sabre Jr. was in the multi-man thing lower down on the card. I'm a big fan of his. Yeah, I enjoyed it overall. I like the different environments for wrestling. We've talked about on the show. They had a AAA show in Vegas, and it was all right, but like, I want to see them in Mexico. I like to see wrestling in Japan. I like to see it in these different countries. That's exciting to me. Fan.
Me too. I just thought that, man, like as far as like retirement goes and how to do it right, New Japan, I feel like did a lot better job than WWE as far as really respecting the guy, bringing out all his opponents, literally making him emotional, because it didn't seem like he realized some of the guys that were coming out were coming out. It just seemed like so cool from the clips I saw. I was like, man, that's how you do it.
Absolutely. And because Takeshita and Nakamura are buddies, and he had like an armband or something, and somebody asked, is that from Takeshita? He's like, yeah, he can't be here. Now, everybody would think it's WWE that wouldn't allow him to be there for political reasons, but is there any reason that New Japan wouldn't allow that? I don't know.
No, New Japan would definitely allow him to be there. It was weird. WWE booked him on SmackDown, right?
For a small segment
for like 2 seconds. Yes. So it was almost like, wow, did they do that on purpose because of AEW New Japan and they didn't want Nakamura going because they, I guess, probably asked and they're like, no, he's booked for the show. And like, that's what he was booked for. Like, oof.
I don't respect that. So like, I expect that out of Vince. Like, Vince was never going to change, but like Tony Khan let Billy Gunn go to the DX Hall of Fame induction. Didn't Danielson take part in some of the Cena send-off stuff?
I believe so, yeah.
I believe so. And somebody else, it's under AEW. I'm just not coming to mind right now. But like, I'm not surprised that Tony Khan's like, yeah, I have my own company, their competition, but this is wrestling and we should at least respect these guys and what they do in ways that's really not going to hurt either's business. What? How would it hurt WWE's bottom line for Nakamura to be at that show just to pay respects?
Weird.
What does that hurt? And what does it do for the goodwill people's attitudes towards WWE? And you know what I mean? Like that's a no-brainer for me. I don't get that.
Very, I don't know, very weird, very, I don't know, just stupid of them not to allow that and not to do that. I didn't like that at all, especially if Nakamura was definitely going to go. It wasn't confirmed, but especially if he was going to go, I don't like that.
Not a match, nothing like that, just to pay respect to his longtime friend.
Yep. Now, just going to a quick political joke here that I absolutely love because we just passed January 6th and obviously a lot of stuff going on. White House released a video, I guess, I don't know if it was new or old, but released a video basically kind of putting Pelosi in a bad light. And obviously there was a hidden camera video of her daughter talking about it and not so great light for her mom. Like a lot of just weird stuff just as far as January 6th and like the controversy around it. But I just thought this was funny from Norm Macdonald. I don't know if you've seen this or heard this. And Norm Macdonald put this out obviously before he had passed. This is from 2021. But I love when the violent terrorists made sure to respect the velvet ropes in Statuary Hall. I that always cracks me up. That always funny. And I always think about that. I was like, yeah, I don't know if they were really necessarily violent terrorists. They're like walking in a straight line, don't touch the ropes. Make sure we're walking. Like that, I don't know if that really would technically be violent.
No, it's not. That's pretty funny from Norm Macdonald. Not surprising. Boy, do we miss him. What a great comedian.
He was the best.
Yeah, this J6 videos, like, you know, Democrats would show you like the worst things going on. Then you'd see other videos where it's like a guy walking around and a police like shaking his hand or giving him directions and stuff like that.
Yep.
So, yeah, it was not an insurrection. It was a bunch of yahoos going crazy on the wrong place, wrong time kind of thing.
Come on, that shaman guy is the leader of the group. I mean, come on, Jesus.
He hates Trump now. I don't know if you've seen those videos.
No. Oh, probably. But didn't Trump get him out? So.
I mean, he pardoned all those guys. Hate's a strong word, but like somebody asked him if he was a Trump supporter. He's like, hell no, he's not doing any of the America First stuff. He said same thing for Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Yeah, I was going to say,
like she's changed. Like, no, the QAnon shaman guy's not changed. He's right that Trump's not living up. But yeah, I have a friend that's very left leaning, and his cousin got wrapped up in all that and arrested or whatever. And we went to get lunch, and he's like telling me this, but like so embarrassed and family shame. I'm like, dude, come on.
Yeah, geez.
That's stupid. That's
laying it up a little thick. Yeah.
Right. To him, this was like his cousin was in Al Qaeda or something and flew into the towers. Like that's how a lot of leftists. Kamala Harris said this is like 9/11. It's like, get out of here, woman.
Not even close.
You know?
Oh my God.
It wasn't good. I was embarrassed.
I was going to say it's more embarrassing than anything.
Yeah.
It's not 9/11. It's embarrassing.
It was embarrassing. My mom, who was a Trump voter, said, like, I've had it with this guy on that day. You know, not that, he was the ringleader or anything, but it was all just a mess. And he wasn't helping a lot. There was no organized insurrection to overthrow the government of the United States. That wasn't happening. This wasn't a foreign head of state, another government or military going in. This is the kind of people you see if you went to Walmart who voted for Trump, who were in the same place at the same time. That's it.
It's some bad stuff. I only saw clips of that video. I didn't want to watch the whole thing, but I just saw some clips. The Capitol Police, Pelosi, not put into the greatest light, almost like they let it happen or wanted it to happen. And then they have a clip of her. I don't know what the hell the interview was from, but she basically admitted it and then said, "Oh, I never said that." But they're like, "We have you on tape kind of admitting that you should have called the National Guard." So just idiocy all around, embarrassing all the way around, especially from her.
Yeah, I think there are lots of people that wanted something like this to happen. It's Trump derangement syndrome takes many forms, and allowing something like this to happen, I think feds were planted there. Thomas Massey's been talking about this forever, and who's Ray Epps and all this stuff.
Yep.
I don't put it past any. I mean, look, our CIA overthrows foreign governments and installs our people. That's what we did with Zelensky in Ukraine. Why do you think they wouldn't do this at the Capitol?
Yeah.
This isn't something as crazy as that, but of course they do that.
Man, if you look at some of the CIA stuff, it's actually scary, some of the stuff that they pull and do. And it's like, holy crap, like ungoverned, essentially.
Yeah, they just do what they want. Now, you got the American government toppling regimes in Venezuela and stuff. CIA is like, yeah, but this is our specialty. Good job, Trump. Like, we can help. But like, that's okay. Sure.
So speaking on like craziness going on and what's going on, Minnesota seems like just the hotbed for all this craziness. Tim Walz is a complete disaster. Obviously, he will not go for reelection. Thank you, Nick Shirley there. So he won't do that, but he won't resign either. So there's all this fraud going on. Now the ICE is there. They're investigating a lot of the stuff with the Somalians. And then obviously ICE ends up killing a woman, which is just another just insane story. But it almost seems like Waltz wants a riot. It's almost like he's calling for it. And this guy just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. What is going on in Minnesota?
What kind of governor wants a riot in a state? And I'll tell you the kind that's involved in a massive fraud scandal and wants people not to pay attention to it.
Right.
That's what's going on. This guy's a
Bingo.
putz.
Yep.
And I don't like to be like, oh, you're fat, you're stupid, blah, blah, blah. But like, thank God he never became vice president. He's an awful governor. Like that he would want to riot in his state over this. I mean, you can take a position or strike a moral posture or something like that. Even if I don't agree with it, that's fine. That's your right, especially as an elected official. But you want a violent mob to, I mean, come on, what are we talking about?
Insane. And it seems to be a lot of the time it's Minnesota. I know they're investigating a lot of fraud in California now, but it seems like a lot of the riots and insanity and George Floyd's crap and all that other stuff. I mean, it seems like Minnesota is the hotbed for a lot of this nonsense, which is weird.
Does. Which is weird because it's a blue state, and I don't know what quite to make about that. I have friends that live there. I don't want to live there, but yeah.
Yeah, I would never want to go there, period. But the Somalian fraud is crazy. So we would do so much to avoid having to deal with that fraud and having investigated and the $1 billion that was stolen. We would do so much to do that. We would destroy the town just so they wouldn't find the fraud. I mean, it's just crazy. What weirdos.
Yeah. And who's going to be held accountable? What's so hard about this, and we've discussed this before, is the fraud takes many forms. It's not like there's one person, he defrauded them for $1 billion and let's go get him. It's many, many people, many in that Somali community, whether illegal or legal, were involved in this. And I don't know where you start. A lot of people are going to get away with it, have already gotten away with it, but it seems like they tried to hold somebody accountable. You think the governor would care instead of trying to start riots to distract people from it.
Man, that just seems like a political play, like 101 politics right out of the handbook. Like, hey, how do we get, let's start a riot or let's get them distracted, right? That's politics 101.
It does. It really does. That's, we were talking about J6. I think, that was that. I honestly think part of what we've done in Venezuela has to do with the Epstein files, and the Trump administration want to distract from that. And not just him, just lots of people, elites wanting to distract from that.
To me, though, also with that, I think perfect storm with, hey, China's trying to get the oil from Venezuela. Well, we don't want China to get the oil and sell it to Iran and Russia, whoever. Like, we want the oil. So obviously $17 trillion in oil, we want the oil. So there's like a perfect storm. There was like, okay, we can distract. We can just start like a little bit of a skirmish here. We can get all this oil. Like, it's a perfect storm in Venezuela right now.
Yeah, there's a strange split on the right on this thing. So you have, obviously the neoconservatives, Lindsey Graham, Marco Rubio is one, as Secretary of State, who are for all wars, any war for any reason, all the time, regime change all the time, who are excited about this. That's a given. But then, like, I think, my old boss Rand Paul's against U.S.-led regime change wars. Thomas Massey's against it. Tucker Carlson's against it. Megyn Kelly has come out against it. Marjorie Taylor Greene is against it. That's sort of your OG America First people. But then I think like Steve Bannon, who is usually in that group, is like, this isn't good, but I'll wait and see. So he's kind of skeptical. Like, he's not for it in principle, but he'll see what it looks like. I think Rand Paul is right that, you could find videos of Trump saying 1 million times, no regime change wars, no regime change wars. Rand has made the point that Trump has played so much golf with Lindsey Graham, and his Secretary of State is Marco Rubio, who, Latinos like him, American Latinos, have long wanted to do stuff like this, with Cuba being at the top of the list. That they somehow convinced him that regime change is okay if it's in our hemisphere or in the Americas or something like that. I think Senator Paul's probably right, because that's what we're seeing right now. It's the opposite of what Trump said when he campaigned.
It is just one of those things where regime change would service us, getting the oil would service us, blocking China. It is one of those things where it's a lot of different things all at once, but it's when you look at it, it's just like shady all the way around. Like to me,
Yeah,
anyway.
and do we want American troops there because some American oil companies made a bad deal at one time? Is that what our military is for?
Honestly, it seems like it, right? Which is not a good thing.
No, and we ousted Maduro. He's going to go on trial in New York, and in his place now is a close ally of Maduro, the equally hardline socialist that's there now. So we replace one socialist with another, or well, okay, sure. So how about we just don't do that? That's the biggest thing you see in the polling. Trump's favorability is really down, and it's Americans at large. Definitely people that voted for Trump, but just even people that didn't are like, why aren't we paying attention to these problems we have at home? Prices, inflation, the national debt. Why are we not focusing on this? And we're trying to, dominate the globe or, our hemisphere or whatever. What is this? Nobody talked about this during the campaign. I don't think I heard the word Venezuela one time during the 2024 presidential campaign.
Nope. Definitely not. And the crazy thing is with, everything going on with Trump, then we're kind of thinking like, what about Netanyahu and Israel, and like, what is their play in all this, right? I mean, they're probably got some sort of involvement in this as well. Wasn't Venezuela doing something with Iran? Weren't they giving them oil for cheap?
Yeah, this is very entangled with Israel and what they want, and I don't know all the details, so I'm not going to speak out of school. But people I trust have said that. I think Matt Gaetz has made that point, and some others. I think Tucker Carlson has brought this up as well. Yeah, don't be surprised if all roads always lead back to Israel and what they want. And I say that as somebody who has nothing against Israel and certainly not anti-Semitic, but that's just a matter of the fact. Ronald Reagan used to say stuff like that all the time. Nobody could accuse him of being a bigot. But that was a different place, a different time. In 2025, you can't be critical of this one government.
Man, that's just wacky with like that stuff, and you actually look into it. And it's like, some of this stuff it turns out to be true. Like, and it protects their interest or helps their interest. It's like, how the hell does that always happen? It always seems to be that way, where it kind of works out for them. Oddly,
yeah. Why don't we put the America interest first? That's what I thought I voted for.
Yes.
So.
Yep. And speaking of that, what the hell are we paying our taxes for, right? I mean, geez, if you look at all this stuff, right, how much waste and all this other stuff, should we even be paying taxes? It's almost insane at this point.
After the Venezuela thing, popular podcaster Theo Vaughn, among others, but I think he was one of the first shared on X. Why do we pay taxes? What is this? What are we paying for? That's a good question. I wouldn't mind seeing a tax revolt.
Yeah, I honestly was thinking that. What if we all don't pay our taxes? But obviously nobody's going to all conform to that. But that would be great.
Right.
Why don't we all just get together and not pay taxes? I would like to see them disband the IRS just in general. I mean, just to get rid of it.
I would too, and Trump has flirted with that, and I'd love to see it. He's talked about revenue being completely from tariffs. I don't know what that looks like. I'm not a big fan of tariffs, but if it means getting rid of the IRS, I'm open to new and fresh ideas. But yeah, they say it's a voluntary tax in the United States. Okay, try not paying them and see what happens.
Man, that's crazy. But when you think about it, though, it's like with all the Somali fraud and the fraud in California and all this other stuff, it's like, wait a second, we're all kind of paying for this nonsense through our taxes, and they're all stealing it and doing God knows what with it. And it's like, man, the average Joe, if you will, average American gets screwed big time.
Yeah, the average person out there, especially if you have a family and kids, you're looking at how much health insurance costs and how much groceries cost. And it's not good. Marjorie Taylor Greene talks about this all the time. She's like, my constituents want to know about stuff like that. And why are we worried about all this stuff around the world, whether it's Venezuela or anywhere else? Not that you shouldn't have global political concerns for the United States. I'm not saying that. That would be naive. But domestic issues don't seem to be a focus. Trump said something this week like, oh, well, we're going to do great in the midterms. If the public mind doesn't like it, I don't know what's wrong with them. He's talking about Americans. I'm like, what? And he seemed to think it was like the Republican Party, not him's fault if they don't do well in the midterms. It's like, dude, that's not how this works. Well, what's wrong with the public mind? Who says that?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, that's so pompous. Like, I'm right. What's wrong with all these people? Some bunch of them voted for me. 75 million voted for me. Even though I didn't talk about any of this stuff when I campaigned. Like, I don't know. He's out to lunch.
What is the Team Trump? And then you have basically you put the association with Bush Cheney 2025. What is that? What is that? Are you trying to say war? Maybe is that
Well,
the correlation?
yeah, I mean, the Bush Cheney administration was defined by regime change in Iraq. That's what they did.
Yeah.
And it turned out disastrously. Now, the Middle East is not Venezuela. What we've done so far is so small compared to the years long Iraq war. I get that. But part of all this is, the Lindsey Grahams and Marco Rubios are always eager to go in, start a war, regime change, and give little thought to what comes afterward. The costs, the human toll. I think about 75, 80 killed in this. Some 80-year-old woman in Venezuela was blown up in her apartment. What does that look like? Okay, they have a new socialist leader. What's that going to look like? Or we need to go in there again? Once you start these things, you don't know what it looks like. I think it was Paul Wolfowitz or one of those Bush administration officials, maybe Doug Feith. That was Rumsfeld, actually, that said that we'd be greeted as liberators, greeted with flowers when we invaded Iraq. And there were people happy Saddam was gone, but then look what it looked like the rest of the time. ISIS thanks you for invading Iraq, George W. Bush, and what Barack Obama did in Syria and Libya and all that helped give rise to ISIS. The president of Syria right now is a former Al-Qaeda leader, and he's our friend. So, what was all that about?
Crazy.
For those who don't remember, Al-Qaeda flew airplanes into towers on 9/11 and killed a bunch of Americans. So they are the bad guys.
Yeah, now we're kind of in bed with them.
So what is that? What's this Venezuela thing going to be? It hardly ever comes out like, man, that was a good idea. That was a good decision,
And even like going back, obviously, to the 40s, we fight Nazi Germany, right? We're against them, but then we take a bunch of their guys and we end up creating NASA. It's like, what in the world? Like, weird world we live in, and forever and ever.
That was the last That was the last time Congress declared war, by the way, was World War II. Yep. And even then, until Pearl Harbor happened, you had a sizable number of Americans being like, we don't want to be involved in Europe's war. In retrospect, what happened with the Holocaust and everything, what we know now, we did the right thing and it was heroic. And, most Americans see that. But my point is, just being involved in wars all the time wasn't an American habit at the time. They're like very hesitant. Like, no, not all of them, but hell, maybe half the country back then until Pearl Harbor. Then that's, we were attacked. That's a different thing. But I don't know. I thought Trump was going to kind of help us take us back to that war-weary place where we're hesitant, and he's not hesitant at all.
All right, let's break off the back away from politics, back to wrestling, because I got to get your take on this. AEW 2026, kind of don't know where they're headed because MJF is champ again and kind of going in an interesting direction with him possibly. And Andrade is back. He worked it out with the lawyer. I guess Roosh got him connected with his lawyer who got connected with WWE, and they got him free of his contract. So Andrade's back. Jake Doyle, a.k.a. Jake Something, has debuted in AEW. So where are they headed in 2026? Are you liking this direction so far?
I do. I'm not sure where they're headed. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing. As we speak, MJF's got a big match coming up against Bandito, who's the Ring of Honor World Champion. Bandito's taking the AEW belt from MJF, but I am curious about who is his next big opponent. Do they run it back with Swerve or Hangman Adam Page? I wouldn't be totally mad at that, but I would think they would want to do something fresh. I like this pairing of Swerve and Hangman as a tag team for a little while. I think that's exactly what you do with them. I like MJF as champion. That's never bad. So I'm curious to see what that looks like. I like Jake Doyle now being in part of the Don Callis family. He just showed up, the former Jake Something from TNA. I think there's a lot of exciting stuff going on. I like Willow being the TBS champion. I think that's cool. I know it's her second time around on that. Tony Storm still riding high. Do we see Britt Baker in 2026 at some point? I don't know. I would love to. A lot of exciting things happening in AEW. I'm pretty optimistic. How about you?
I don't know. It's like almost kind of a little confusing of where they're going because it's like, wow, MJF's champ again. I thought we were going, with Samoa Joe for a little bit because he literally just beat Adam Page, who I thought they were going with for a while. Maybe it's good to be unpredictable sometimes, but sometimes I like to know, like, hey, where are they headed? Like, what's the big feud? Where are they going? And I kind of don't see a big feud where they could be headed unless Ospreay comes back.
But isn't he going to be out for a while?
That's what I've heard. So I was like, unless Ospreay comes back in the springtime, but I heard he's not going to be back by then. So I don't know. So I was like, where the hell are they headed? Because you would think if they had the big show coming up in is it Wembley again or wherever they are in England, a
Yeah.
little bit after the springtime, it would be MJF versus Osprey, and Osprey won the title, and then he'd get his long reign or whatever. But I don't even know if they're headed in that direction. I'm just confused where they're headed. I kind of like the Monet stuff too. Like she's holding a funeral almost, like she's upset. She
Yeah.
keeps losing because I was wondering when she was going to start losing because she hadn't lost in like a year.
I think she's more interesting without the belt than what she's doing right now. And I was kind of like, I don't know, touch and go with her and her AEW thing. I know she's happy and she's doing well and making a ton of money, but I'm enjoying what she's doing right now maybe than I have at any time since she's been there. I don't know if you feel the same way.
Yeah, I feel like I don't know. I like this direction just because like before it's like okay, we know she's the XWB girl. She can beat everybody in the roster. We know that, and she's great. Blah, blah. But it's like let's show some range here. Let's do something different. And she's doing something completely different. I thought I saw some clips of the Dynamite where she took out the cake. That it's an old spot of her, but I like when she came out like a funeral almost. Like she was upset,
Right?
She's crying. Yeah.
And different subject or different part of the same subject. If anybody hasn't watched the Dynamite from that would have been January 7th, that Shelton Benjamin Moxley match is incredible. So go watch that. It's really good and hot crowd there.
Man, Moxley is a babyface too. That's another like question mark to me. You like it? Okay,
I do. Nobody wanted to boo him throughout that entire Death Riders run, which I think did good business for them, even though some of us were critical of it. I didn't like it for much, but like even when he was trying to kill Bryan Danielson with a plastic bag, people didn't want to boo Moxley. They just didn't. And now we're in a place where he could still be like the renegade tough guy, but he's a baby face and doing it. I think that's the right feel for what the fans want and what's good for AEW. And, most of the wrestlers like being heels more than faces, but, Moxley wants to do what's right for the company and himself. I think that's the right way to be. I'm enjoying it more.
I got a chuckle out of the bag thing with Danielson just because I knew like the reference. It's an old Terry Funk reference. But people are like, oh, they're sick, they're nuts. Well, I'm like, you guys not old school fans? Like some of the old school fans were saying it. I'm like, oh my God, Terry Funk literally did the same thing. That's exactly what he's going for. I had no problem with that. I actually thought it was different because we hadn't seen it in forever.
Yeah, well, that's you got to be of a certain age, I guess.
Right. I'm
younger and know different stuff. But
that's an old fart, I guess. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that's anytime I've listened to Jim Cornette complain about modern wrestling, sometimes I agree with him, but sometimes I'm like, dude, you watch Memphis wrestling. That was corny as hell, like way cornier than what you're complaining about right now.
Yeah, so and that cake spot with Monet is literally the Cornette spot.
Yeah. And it's all great. It's fine.
Yeah.
There's always been a silliness and a corniness to professional wrestling in any era. I mean, they're different, but like Gorgeous George, come on. What are we talking about? In the Memphis area, they had the Kisser, which was the honky tonk man dressed up like Gene Simmons with his tongue hanging out. Like, what are we talking about? That was in the 70s.
So you like Moxley as a babyface going forward? Do you think that the Death Riders should turn on him, though?
I want them to, but it doesn't look like that's what's happening. I thought that's what was going to happen. And I thought like Marina Shafir would lead a heel, which would be cool. But it looks like that's not happening. I like her more and more now. I like what they're doing with her. I think she's cool. Is she a baby face or a heel? She's cheered like a baby face most of the time, right? I like her. I like her and Tony Storm's feud right now. I think that's interesting and fresh and different.
I like anything involving Mina Shirakawa, so I pay attention to her. I like her a lot.
Jumping back, we were talking about earlier about the Tanahashi retirement. Ibushi was on that show and came out to pay.
Very cool.
It took him a long time to walk that long ramp to that ring, but he made it.
What a shame, too, because, I mean, he's got to be, maybe 40, 41-ish, maybe? And he looks great aesthetically, but you could tell he's banged up, man.
He is banged up, and that foot ain't right, and good for him for doing that for his friend on that day. But, yeah, just wanted to note that before we get too far along.
The Shibata thing was really cool, by the way. I love it because he took off the op shirt and they did the chop thing.
Yeah,
and he was going to be the next guy there too until the brain injury.
Right. And Tanahashi was sentimental about the whole thing, but that really made him cry the most was when Shibata came out.
Because Shibata and New Japan didn't really have a great relationship at the end there, so pretty cool that they allowed him to do that.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking with the Nakamura thing. I was like, all right, because Naito didn't he want like more money and he hasn't been there.
Naito left too. Yeah. Yep.
So they were cool with him coming back. So I was like, yeah, that must be WWE with the Nakamura thing, which is sad.
he did look pretty surprised about Naito coming out. I don't think he was alerted, even though he's the president of the company. I don't think he was told.
And Naito was the last one to come out. You thought that the people coming out was all done, and then he popped up.
Very cool. I love that. That's the way you do it, for sure. Now it's interesting. We're talking about like Ibushi. I know he got leg injury and stuff, but he had like a neck injury before. A lot of guys have. Did you take anything about the wrestler safety thing from William Regal and that post and Omega writing back to it and stuff? Did you take any of that to heart? Like these guys need to slow down and stop taking suplexes on their heads?
I think William Regal was being earnest, just like, hey, this is our business, but like, listen up to an old timer who's got all these problems. Talked about, when he rides on planes and just different basic stuff. I think he had an accident with Bobby Eaton. I think he said specifically in like 93 or something. And that's nothing on Bobby Eaton, just like Owen Hart and Stone Cold. Like these things happen.
Car accident too.
Yeah. Omega's response, I thought he was thanking Regal for saying something about it. And Omega's the guy to say that because he wrestles the kind of style that Regal's talking about. Am I wrong to say that as a fan?
I wouldn't say that exact style, but similar. Like, you know what I mean? Like he would have more respect for Regal because he would adapt some of the stuff that Regal did, obviously in more of an athletic way, but it's similar.
Yeah. And even when like
style.
Kenny gave, was it Will Ospreay, that Tiger driver that looked so bad on your neck and people were flipping out. And Kenny said something like, or did Will Ospreay do that to Kenny? I don't know. But anyways, Kenny said something like, I know how to do what I do without getting hurt, and only I know how to do it, and I'm a professional, or something like that. And I was like, he's probably right, but at the same time, it's still dangerous,
Yeah, Ospreay did hurt his neck twice, too, so it's like obviously not good,
And this all came from the Kyle Fletcher spot during the World's End,
which is so
which
dangerous.
Looked brutal, and everybody's point that's a little older is like, it might not hurt him right now, but in the future, it is definitely going to hurt them. They all said the same thing, so...
And he hasn't wrestled since, by the way, Fletcher.
What's that?
Fletcher hasn't wrestled since.
Yeah. So, and he's one of my favorites. We were talking about AEW earlier. Let's not overlook him.
But it's not just AEW because Kevin Owens took that bad spot with Cody Rhodes. Remember?
Yeah.
And everyone thought he hurt his neck, and then he was fine. He wrestled Sami Zayn, and then all of a sudden they're like, "Yeah, you might have a broken neck." And that was like a month later. They didn't realize it until. So even WWE does the same stupid stuff sometimes.
I was kind of laughing. Who was it saying it? It wasn't Jim Ross, but it was an old timer, and they were talking about the Regal, warning. And this person said they were talking to Harley Race one time, and he had mentioned, doing the flying headbutt, how that really messed him up. Right? Maybe he regretted doing it. We know about Benoit and all that kind of stuff. Out of my kid.
Yep.
But I think we've talked about this on the show. I think it was Lou Thez when Harley Race was younger. It was like, look at that crazy kid out there doing that headbutt. He shouldn't be doing that. And we were laughing like, Lou Thez is criticizing Harley Race. Come on now.
Yeah.
Maybe Lou Thez was right. Harley Race admitted it later.
Yes. Crazy though, like always the generation before be like, I don't do this. And then eventually when they get older, they're like, yeah, that guy was right. You know what I mean? Like I know Omega's a veteran now, but he's like, yeah, you're probably right.
I think Omega's probably feeling it. He said as much, and he's older.
Yeah.
He's not 31-year-old Ring of Honor or whatever was going on then. In line with that, when Cornette, who I just quit listening to at one point, he's my favorite manager, love to listen to his thoughts on wrestling. I just didn't like the overbearing AEW criticism. But one of those was saying that the Young Bucks look like small school children. You remember he would say that all the time?
Oh, of course, yeah.
Well, I was in, I guess, Greensboro, North Carolina, a couple of years ago when the Rock and Roll Express were on the show in the ring with the Young Bucks. I forgot what they were doing. Do you remember that?
Yes.
They're the same size.
Yeah, I was going to say, and I've met them before. I was going to say, they're not really that small. You could say they're not muscular, but they have gotten more muscular. But I've met them before. They're like 5'11". I mean, they're not that short.
Yeah.
They're probably taller than the Rock and Roll Express. Yeah.
I stood next to Ric Flair. We're the same height. He's bigger than me.
Yeah, of course.
But like, what are we talking about here? But the Young Bucks, that's what the wrestler, Bill Watts was like, y'all are going to sell for these kids. I don't care if they look like kids. You're going to sell for them. Rock and roll and make money. That was his old timer attitude. Even if the other wrestlers like, hey, that guy's too small. But
even like Brett and HBK, like, okay, they're both taller than me. I'm 6 foot. They're both taller than me. Like, they're not really that small, guys. Like, come on.
No. So that I just saw he'd be like the small school children. I'm like, you managed the Midnight Express, whose greatest opponents by far were the Rock and Roll Express. What are we talking about here?
Yep.
So that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. Anyways, that goes in line with the old timers and what they think about modern wrestling and modern wrestlers.
That is one of those things, I guess, it'll just never change. It's like a circle of life.
Yeah.
Happens, old people complain, the young people say no way, then they become the old people, they complain, and it goes circle, circle, circle.
A lot of it's legitimate though, and opinions vary. But when like Jim Ross, who was it? Brandon Cutler got mad when Jim Ross said, "I hate when the guys stand outside the ring and do like this." And it's like 5 of them waiting to catch somebody, and it's the most obvious thing in the world. I thought that every time I saw it. When Jim Ross said it, I'm like, "Hot damn, JR, you're right." It's just so stupid. There's a way to do it where it doesn't look so obvious, but not enough people try. And Brandon Cutler, who's the luckiest man in the world, who he's friends with, Young Bucks, in my opinion, let me tell you something, Jim Ross, this is how we do it in PWG or whatever. I'm like, sure, dude. Yeah, listen to Jim Ross. About shut your mouth and listen to him.
Yep. Absolutely crazy. One final topic I wanted to bring up to you. WWE in 2026 started off a little bit with a bang with the Stranger Things Raw 1-year anniversary show, although a lot of people apparently did not like the show. I liked the first match, the tag match, and I love the main event with Punk and Breaker. What did you think? I
did too, and I mistakenly thought they'd pull the trigger on Breaker. They did not, but boy, was that a match. That was a great match.
Awesome.
And I liked, Phoenix and all them running in and how that worked out. And Bron Breaker didn't lose anything in that match, and I think he eventually will be the world champion, whether he beats Punk or somebody else. But that was really good. Yeah, it's funny. I think I'll watch Dynamite or Raw, I'll be like, that was a pretty good show. And I'll go online and other people did not feel that way, or I don't know. Maybe I'm a good judge or they're too harsh. I don't know.
I feel like negativity is like automatically, no matter what, even if the show was good, the main event's great, the show sucked. They already had it in their head that it sucked, and they're going to put it out there, and they're going to try to get views and likes over it.
So what I don't like about that, it's more about them than what they're watching.
Yes.
I work in politics for a living. Yes. I write things under my name, articles. I'm in videos. We're doing this. I get a satisfaction out of that, sure. When I watch wrestling, I'm wanting to watch that. It ain't about me. I even hate the people who do the what chants in the arenas. I'm like, shut up. Let's watch this. Let's enjoy this. Why do you even come to this? So the people that go online and just make it about them. So there's certain accounts I don't follow. I'm like, I'm not even listening to that person, even if I might agree with them, just because I know what their agenda is.
Yep.
And I don't like it. I like professional wrestling. These people can do something I can't. I'm fans of them. I'm going to watch it. I'm going to have opinions about it. But if I like it, I'm not going to pretend it's bad to make it about me again. So yeah, I don't respect that.
Man, it's just like, it's going to be negative. Like, you don't even need to read their comments. You're like, yeah, they hated the show or whatever. Some people were complaining it wasn't enough like Stranger Things. There should have been Stranger Things like cast members there or something. I was like, what? That's like, okay, now we're getting a little just preposterous over the hatred. I can understand not liking the show. It was maybe a little slow, or maybe they had too many women's matches and they didn't kind of spice it up enough. But I liked the Gunther thing. I liked, I love Rhea Ripley. So her and Rio winning was fine. And I thought the main event was awesome. And I knew the whole show was centered around the main event too. So that was going to blow me away, and it did.
Yeah, no, I came away from that show liking it. I'm a fan of Stranger Things. Secret, Glenn Jacobs is a big fan of Stranger Things.
Oh, awesome. Nice.
Has some thoughts on that he shared with me, but I won't speak for him. But yeah, I thought it was what did they want to happen? And maybe the stars from the show could have been in the front row. Some of those kids probably like wrestling, right? I don't know. I enjoyed Corey Graves bringing up 80s references like Phoebe Cates and stuff like that. I mean, what do the people want? I don't know. I thought it was fine.
Very, very strange, if you will. I know it's Stranger Things, no pun intended there. Very, very strange that people were hopping on it and being negative. They wouldn't even admit that Punk still got it and he's still good and Breaker's got, a good, bright future. Nope. Sucked.
All right.
I didn't like it.
I'm going to do something I don't usually do, but I don't think he'd be mad at this. So.
Yes.
Thanks. The Cena's final match is like the end of Stranger Things. I'd be spoiling Stranger Things of what I'm saying. Does that make sense to you on its face?
Okay. Yes. Go with it.
So 11, Hawkins is a character in Stranger Things. The town is itself is a character, right?
Technically speaking, yeah. Yep.
If 11 is still there, it's still going to be Stranger. It's going to be weird because of her presence, right? But she loves it and she loves the people in it. She can live on, but she has to be far away from it. She has to go do something different, which is, if you watch the finale, it looks like they speculate that's what she did, and certainly the people closest to her believe that. John Cena is going to be in WWE again. He'll be talking. He'll be doing something. He's never going to be in the ring again, and that aspect, which is heavy on WWE, he has to completely extract himself from that world and go do something else for a long time. For it to be the WWE, it needs to be free of John Cena. And he even smiled about it on the way out. I've done all I can do. I'm gone. Gunther is what's the villain in Stranger Things that
Vecna,
Henry,
yes.
Vecna, or whatever.
Henry
That's
Creel,
Gunther.
yes.
That's Gunther, and Cena left like 11 did. And when he said it that way, I'm like, you know what? That's a good point. It's a wrestling angle, So I don't know. I don't think he'd get mad at me sharing that.
Nice. I like that. Just an interesting little sidebar here, too, about Bron Breaker.
Mm-hmm.
At the house show I was at, it was him and Bronson Reed as the Vision versus the War Raiders.
Okay.
Bronson Reed and Breaker were the baby faces. So they were barking and worked as baby faces. Breaker got the hot tag. So that's kind of interesting too, that he lost and then he's doing baby face stuff on the house shows. Are they testing something out here?
It's the same it's not exactly the same, but it's similar to the Moxley thing. No matter how dastardly he was, people wanted to cheer for him. That barking thing is over. It's part his dad and
Yep.
dog
and to be honest, as soon as he starts running the ropes, the crowd gets amped because they know he's going to be going 25 miles an hour. They're like, oh, you know what I mean? So
yeah,
he's definitely over.
He can be a heel if he's in there with Punk or somebody like that, a babyface star of that stature. If he's in there with the War Raiders or anybody else, people are going to cheer for him. Nothing against the War Raiders, but you see what I'm saying, the dynamic.
Yep.
But yeah, at some point, Bron Breakker can be a big babyface singles star. So
no doubt. I agree. And also to note on that house show, Cody beat Drew in a cage match. They did a storyline and they interviewed Drew backstage. I was like, this is interesting. They're actually doing because they're not supposed to touch on TV. So I just thought that was cool. I know maybe that's like a little stupid thing, but I just thought that was cool. It's like, wow, they're doing a storyline. He's like, the lawyers have a loophole and he's allowed to touch me and fight me tonight. I'm fighting this. I don't want to have the match. But they built it up to the main event, and then Drew pretended he didn't want to get in the cage. Cody grabs him and makes him get in the cage. They have the cage match, which was actually a really good match. Cody did a Cody cutter. He jumped from the top and got, so they're obviously maybe testing out the move to make sure he can hit the, for Friday night.
Yeah.
But I was like, wow, in a house show, Cody's freaking hitting top of the cage Cody cutters. Like, this is unbelievable. So great match between those two. And Cody, every time I see him at the house show, he does not take it easy. I've seen him fight Nakamura in a bull rope match. I've seen him fight Finn Balor. It's like, man, he goes all out on these house shows. And obviously he's awesome with the crowd too.
Yeah, you'd think they do that extra at a house show to get people coming back to house shows, but they don't do house shows. They do the holiday tour, and that's about it.
They need to start doing them more because they're fun. You could even tell, when Jade was out there, they were having a ball, doing stuff. They have fun out there.
And the wrestlers themselves like them, the ones that have talked about it, because it's no hard TV time. You can kind of have fun with it. Yep. It's a little less structured, and they're fun for the fans. The last house show I saw was 2 or 3 years ago here in Charleston. It was a holiday tour, and Cody was in the main event and stuck around for over an hour and signed every autograph and took every picture with everybody there that stuck around. So that's a baby
the man.
face.
He's the man.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to be honest, I love attending these shows with my son because wins and losses really matter to him. I know Cody's going to win, obviously, but he's like, oh, he thought he lost. He goes, did he get a kick out of the? So it is fun going with him too, because he gets so involved with the finishes.
And that's what you want. That Bron Breaker Punk match is somebody who thought Braun might actually win.
Me too.
Those fans thought they could go either way at any time.
Yep.
Including me.
That's exactly what you want. Yep, exactly. Yep. So let's wrap up this bad boy. Head towards the plugs. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at 2Man Power Trip. How about you, Jack?
You can find me on X at JackHunter74 for wrestling, politics, and more.
All right. Thank you, everybody out there, for listening. We'll see you right back here next week for